Congratulations, you have reached the final lesson in this course. It's the lesson that I'm most enthusiastic about because this is where the wheel touches the road. This is where the technology of reasoning that you have now mastered meets the weaponology of refutation, the art of refutation. Here in week 4, lesson number 5, it's time for you to do without me. It's time for you to practice what you have learned. And you're going to do this by sending me in an email 2 valid standard form categorical syllogisms. One, the first one, we're going to call the thesis syllogism. It's going to be on a topic that you have a great deal of interest in and have done some research. And the refutation syllogism will also be a standard form categorical valid syllogism, reflecting that there are other points of view than your point of view. If you can do this, then you will have become a critical thinker for life, regardless of your career, your job, your school, or your daily existence. So let's get started, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through what you're going to send me. You're going to be sending me 2 valid standard form categorical syllogisms. We're going to walk through these and give you some examples now here in this lesson, so that when you finish this lesson, you will be able to complete your final self-examination. You're going to send it to me. I'm going to make some comments and send it back. But really, this is for you to evaluate yourself. Here, as you can see on the screen now, step by step, this lesson will show you how to, first of all, state a thesis. Now, the thesis is going to be the conclusion of your argument. You start with the conclusion, and then you work backwards to construct the premises that validly lead to that conclusion by logical necessity. You already learned that. Okay. Any lawyer that will represent you, any good lawyer that will represent you in a court of law, always starts with the conclusion and then works back to arrive at that conclusion. Every good lawyer starts with the conclusion, my client is innocent, or my client is deserving of X or Y or Z, and then works backwards to formulate the premises that lead with logical necessity to that. We've already covered that when we discussed how logic for lawyers actually works. So that's the first thing you do. You choose a thesis statement on a debatable topic. It has to be a debatable topic. It can't be something frivolous that's a matter de gustibus, a matter of likes or dislikes. Is chocolate ice cream better than vanilla ice cream? No, that's not a debatable topic, so forget about that. Choose something that's controversial, if you like, or non, if you like. It doesn't matter to me. The point here is to learn how to formulate a thesis syllogism and then refute it with another syllogism, valid, so both of them valid. So you formulate your major and minor terms. They're already formed for you because we know now, thanks to what we have learned, we now know that your conclusion, your thesis itself, supplies the major term and the minor term. The major term is always the predicate of your conclusion statement, and your minor term is always the subject of your conclusion statement. So you already have your major and minor term. All you need now is to choose a form. As you can see on the screen, the Barbara, the mood is AAA, the figure is 1. The mood, these letters signify whether it's an A, E, I, or O proposition, and this number here only tells us that the middle term is in the predicate subject of the major and predicate of the minor. That's position 1. There are four positions. You know that. You've learned that in your own. So then you turn around and construct a refutation of your own thesis. So let's start the process off by walking you through each of the steps. Step one, you choose a thesis to defend. You defend, and it's in the form of a conclusion. Let's choose a controversial topic. It's a lot of people are debating this today. Here's one here. All humans are the cause of catastrophic climate change. Okay. So what's your major term? Your major term, the cause of climate change. Okay. That's the major term. Why? It's the predicate of your conclusion. What's the minor term? Humans. Okay. Why is that the minor term? That's the subject of the conclusion. So you've got that. Now you have to pick a middle term. So how do you pick a middle term? This is what gives students in my classes a lot of anxiety and hand-wringing and indecision. All you've got to do is you've got to ask yourself the question, what in my thinking connects with necessity the major term to the minor term? Well, if we look at the thesis itself, all humans are the cause of catastrophic climate change. What is it about humans that is joined by necessity to the cause of catastrophic climate change? What's the connection? That's the middle term. That's what distribution is all about. You've already learned this. Okay? Put it into practice. So let's just choose one of the more popular middle terms that are used in this particular debate. I've debated this many times myself. Let's just choose human carbon production. Human carbon production. Now remember, when you're doing these terms, every term you put into the argument, you're going to have to defend. So keep your terminology parsimonious. Keep it sparse. Keep it Spartan. The more Spartan you can construct your syllogism, the less territory, the less real estate you have to defend when you're attacked. Okay, that's just a little tip. So here we're going to choose the Barber standard form categorical syllogistic form. AAA1, all universal affirmative propositions, both premises and conclusion, and figure 1 says that the middle term, carbon produces, is the subject of the major and is the predicate of the minor. There you go. So it fits. Okay, so we know already this is a valid argument. All carbon producers are the cause of catastrophic climate change. All humans are carbon producers. Therefore, with all the force of the universe, it follows logically that all humans are the cause of catastrophic climate change. Okay? And there's the Venn diagram proving the validity. Aha! But is this a sound argument? Can you think of a way in which this could be refuted? Well, it's a universal affirmative. All of the propositions are universal affirmatives. We now know from our look at the study of evidence in prior lessons, we now know that on complex problems, complicated thesis arguments like ones on climate change, the amount of data and the amount of empirical observation is enormous. It touches upon almost every single academic discipline and scientific discipline that you can possibly name. So it's very difficult to prove an all. And I want to say that across the board, you need a universal affirmative or a universal negative to have a valid categorical syllogism. We know that, right? But if you have a conclusion that is a universal, it's going to be difficult to prove, because all your refutation has to do, all your adversary, your opponent in the debate has to do, is to find one exception to your universal affirmative or universal negative conclusion. Just one, because in logic, the word some propositions I and proposition O, the word some means at least one. It could mean many, it could even mean most, but it never means all. And this brings us back to the prior discussion of the limits of induction. Induction never proves all. All we've got to do on this argument is find one single exception, and then we are good to go. So the refutation syllogism would be a Darii. Darii is a very good way to refute a Barbara. So now you're talking shop here, but keep that in mind. If you're confronted with a Barbara thesis, you can look at using the Darii as a refutation form. Why? Well, because it starts off very similar to the thesis. It says all carbon producers are causes of catastrophic climate change, but it alters the quantity. Instead of saying all humans are carbon producers, it says only some, at least one human is a carbon producer. Okay, so some humans are the cause of catastrophe. This is much easier to defend. This is easy to defend with a Darii. Okay? So there's the Venn diagram for the Darii. It's plain the Darii is easier to defend. We've already looked at the thesis of Karl Popper, namely in his three dogmas of empiricism and induction. He refutes the idea that induction is actually reliable in all cases. It isn't. Anyway, so we could have used a accelerant to refute the original thesis, catastrophic climate change, but that would have given us a very difficult, that would give us an equally difficult universal negative type E proposition to defend with evidence and with data. And so no humans are consumers of carbon. Very difficult to defend that one. All right. So we also could have used a Ferrio, but let's just summarize because I want to get to another example. Let's just summarize the steps to be taken. All right, and I'll send this to you in an email with exact instructions as to what I want you to do on your self-examination, your final self-examination. State the claim on a debatable topic. Do your background research to gain the best available evidence. You probably already have some evidence, but enlarge that evidence and keep looking for counter arguments that disagree with you. Construct a thesis in a valid argument form. Test your hypothesis by experimental observation, if indeed it's an observational discipline or question. Analyze your data and draw a conclusion. Submit your argument and prepare to refute it. You start all over again until you can't think of a refutation. Remember, not all swans are white. Up until 1697, the entire learned community, the entire scientific community of responsible scholars believed falsely that all swans were white swans. And in 1697, a Dutch explorer in Australia discovered what? Black swans. So much for data. There's always more data to be gathered. So don't succumb to these data queens that say the data shows this, or studies examining data have shown that. Okay, well, that's only good for that data set. Drawing a inference out of the data, that's where the problems come. That's where the debates happen. So be very careful about that. So here's a sample from, when is this? This is 2018. Here's a sample syllogism from a student that that submitted her thesis syllogism and her refutation syllogism. This was their essay number 2 assignment in their 16-week course. You're only in a 4-week course because You're lifelong learners. You absorb these things quicker. You're probably not taking other courses the way my students were, taking 3 or 4 classes per semester. You're specializing this, so you've done this a little faster. But anyway, this is what I'm going to require you to do. What I want you to do is this. I want you to send me a thesis syllogism on a given topic. Let me move out of the way here. Now, she got an A, by the way, for this assignment. So her thesis syllogism is, all courageous persons that have sacrificed their own well-being to help the American people are American heroes. Okay, that's her major premise. Her minor premise: all members of the category Edward Snowden, of course, there's only one, the man responsible for leaking U.S. Mass surveillance programs to the public, are persons that have sacrificed their own well-being to help the American people. So the middle term, courageous persons, appears as the subject of the major and the predicate of the minor. And so the major and minor term now have been joined to lead to the conclusion, which she says, therefore, all members of the category Edward Snowden, the man responsible for leaking mass surveillance programs to the public, are members of the category of American heroes. Okay. So she submits a valid argument. There's her Venn diagram. You won't have to include the Venn diagram unless you really want to. So there we have it. Figure and mood. The first figure, and AAA is the mood. So there you have it. She has submitted her thesis syllogism successfully. Now, what does she do? She turns right around and she offers a valid refutation syllogism. No American heroes are traitors to the American government. Different major. All members of the category Edward Snowden, the man responsible for leaking U.S. mass surveillance programs to the public, are traitors to the American government. Therefore, no members of the category Edward Snowden, the man responsible for leaking U.S. mass surveillance programs to the public, are members of the category American heroes. Okay? So this is a form that we did not study. It's one of the 15 forms. It's a Chesaday, but she used it, and very effectively. So there she has completed the assignment that I want you to do for yourself. Your final self-exam is if you can do this on any topic, well, then you are a critical thinker. So when you finish this assignment, you'll be able to state a claim on a debatable topic. You'll be able to do the background research to gain the best available evidence, the best data that's up to date. It changes every day. There's more research being done. Don't get married to one data set. Then you'll be able to construct a thesis using a valid argument form. You'll be able to test your hypothesis, your thesis, by experimental observation or by definitional analysis, depending upon what your argument is. You won't use observation in ethical and moral or political topics. You'll use analytics. Analyze your data and draw your conclusion. Submit the argument. Prepare to refute it, and to have it refuted by others, and start all over again until you cannot think of a refutation. Now, so this is what this course has been all about. First of all, helping you to acquire the technology of thinking and to have that confronted by the weaponology of refutation. This is how human knowledge increases. All of us can expect to be refuted. All of us can expect that our pet conclusions and syllogisms will be challenged by others who have been doing their own thinking, who have proposed their own hypothesis based upon their own data set and their own gathering of evidence. This is how humans proceed. This is how critical thinkers operate. Critical thinkers do not become wedded to a particular set of ideas or a worldview. We proceed, as it was once said, through life with the certainty of a sleepwalker. I love that metaphor. It so much expresses exactly how human knowledge increases. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so I leave you with this. Please let me know whether or not this course has been of a benefit to you in your daily existence, in your job, your career, your school, the classes you're taking or not. Let me know. I hear from students from over 50 years ago. Some of them call me every week, and they let me know, yes, this has really helped me, or not. Either way, I want to know. I wish you well. I want to thank you most sincerely for everything you have taught me in your video conferences, your emails, and your interactions. Thank you. I say this at the end of every course to every cohort of students, and I wish you well. Bye-bye for now.